A very good evening to you and a warm welcome to the news live on Channel I. I'm Sharifa Tahir.
Good evening, I'm Clifford Richards. First of all, we take a look at the headlines. The President says all those who destroy the environment will face the challenge of survival in the future. Malta assures fullest support for Sri Lanka to regain the GSP Plus tax concession. A special investigation launched into the death of two Jaffna University students. The protest staged by Kalpitia fishermen ends. The Gazette notification to reduce the price of 48 drugs comes into effect from midnight today. And IS attacks the Iraqi city of Kirkuk, killing 19 persons.
We now move on to those and other stories in detail. President Maithripala Sirisena emphasizes the humans who destroy the environment will face the challenge of survival in the future. The President says, therefore, the government has decided to take stern legal action against such persons. He made these remarks while joining the Trincomalee District Environmental Forum and the National Tree Planting Programme titled Wana Ropa. The national programme to plant 1 billion Gliricidia saplings throughout the country was launched today under the patronage of President Maithripala Sirisena. Symbolizing it, he planted an ebony sapling at Kantale Forest Reserve. Subsequently, 2,000 saplings were planted in a 2-hectare land with the participation of students and the members of the police, tribe forces as well as civil security force. After engaging in a cordial discussion with the students, the President inquired about the requirements of the respective schools. The National Environment Forum commenced at the Mackayser Stadium in Trincomalee later. The President was warmly welcomed for the forum. Addressing the gathering, President Maithripala Sirisena said a special task force will be appointed to implement development projects in the Trincomalee district, which is a centre of reconciliation. The President said he urges all citizens to plant a sapling during the month of October. It will help to plant 20 million saplings throughout the country. The President added he is well aware of the environmental destruction taking place in the Trincomalee district. Many illegal activities, including cutting of trees, deforestation, are reported from throughout the country. It is the responsibility of political leaders and public servants to take prompt action to prevent them. President Maithripala Sirisena said he does not accept cutting trees even after obtaining license for it. Therefore, the President said he issued a new order yesterday in this regard. Accordingly, the approval of the President should be sought even after obtaining approvals from the relevant divisional institutions. A circular in this connection will be issued within this month. Furthermore, laws pertaining to illegal sand mining and breaking of quarry will be further strengthened. Disciplinary action will be taken against officials who do not take proper action against them. President Maithripala Sirisena stated he had interdicted 2 public servants over the destroying of natural resources. The President further reiterated that protecting the environment is a duty that should be fulfilled today and even tomorrow as well.
ඒ වගේම තමයි ගල් කැඩීම සහ මහ කඳු විනාශ කිරීම පස් කපලා. එවැනි කටයුතු වලත් අපි නීති රීති තවත් තද කරනවා. ඒවා සම්බන්ධයෙන් ක්‍රියා නොකරන නිලධාරීන් පිළිබඳව විනයානුකූලව කටයුතු කරන්න වෙන බව කනගාටුවෙන් උනත් කිව යුතුයි. මම පහුගිය මාසෙත් රාජ්‍ය නිලධාරීන් දෙදෙනෙකුගේ සේවය තහනම් කළා මේ ස්වාභාවික සම්පත් විනාශ කිරීම පිළිබඳව ඒ අයගේ වගකීම ඉටු නොකිරීම සම්බන්ධයෙන්. මෙවැනි වගකීමක් ඇති කාර්යයක් අපි ඉටු කිරීම අද දවස වගේම හෙට දවසේ උපදින දරුවන් සඳහා අපෙන් ඉටු යුතු යුතුයකමක්.
நாட்டில் ஒற்றுமை
Opposition leader R. Sambandhan, who also spoke at the occasion, said the present government is engaged in a process to restore peace and to create unity among all communities. The abolishing of presidency is another important measure. The President is ready to leave his powers to ensure that the country has a democratic rule. Heads of states are concerned about the developments of Sri Lanka. Number of significant changes have taken place after Maithripala Sirisena became the President. The opposition leader added it is pleasing to see the government taking effective measures to restore peace and harmony in the country. Felicitating a persons who contributed significantly to environmental conservation also took place at the occasion. The public servants of the Eastern Province handed over a special financial grant for disaster relief efforts as well. A group of persons, including MPs and ministers, were present at the occasion.
Prime Minister of Malta, Joseph Muscat, assures his fullest support for Sri Lanka to regain the GSP Plus tax concession. He gave this assurance at a discussion held with the Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe at the Embassy of Malta yesterday. The Prime Minister of Malta, Joseph Muscat, is due to be appointed as the next chair of the European Union. The discussions also focused on strengthening bilateral relations. A special session was held at the European Parliament last afternoon to exchange views between Sri Lankan Prime Minister Ranil Wickremesinghe and members of the Foreign Affairs Committee of the European Parliament. It was chaired by Chairperson of the committee, Elmar Brok, while the session was conducted by the head of the South Asian Affairs, Jean Lambert. Many issues, including future of SAARC, creating reconciliation in Sri Lanka and eradicating poverty, were discussed in this occasion. Meanwhile, the business forum organized by the businessmen of Brussels was also held under the auspices of Sri Lankan Prime Minister yesterday. They expressed joy for being able to support Sri Lanka's forward march. In reply, the Premier pointed out many investment-friendly opportunities have been created in Sri Lanka for European investors after the Good Governance government came into power. Minister of Law and Order, Southern Development Sagala Ratnayake also joined in the occasion.
The Criminal Investigation Department has launched an investigation into the deaths of two Jaffna University students at Kankisanture area while travelling on a motorbike. 5 police officers have been arrested on suspicion and they have been interdicted with immediate effect. Sugandharaja Sulaksan and Nadaraja Gajan, who were studying at Jaffna University, have died due to the accident. They were third-year students who were following mass media and political science graduate courses. The two students have met with the unfortunate incident at around 11:30 last night while coming to the hostel of the university from Kandarode area. The post-mortem regarding the deaths was conducted at the Jaffna Hospital this evening. According to the post-mortem report, Sugandharaja Sulakshan had rode the motorbike. He had died after being shot, while Nadaraja Gajan has died subsequently. All political leaders of Jaffna have extended their fullest support to the investigation. Issuing a communique, the Government Information Department says all measures have been taken to properly implement the law regarding this incident.
The protest staged by the fishermen of Kalpiti area from yesterday and also the tense situation that arose subsequently ended after a discussion with the Fisheries Minister today. Fishermen had staged a protest at the Kurinnampitia junction at Kalpiti from last morning against the issuing of a license allowing an illegal fishing method. The traffic along the Palavia-Kalpitiya road was obstructed due to this protest. A conflict arose this afternoon between the faction who uses illegal fishing methods and those who are against it. 11 persons were injured in the incident. A small lorry and 4 motorbikes were set on fire. Our correspondent said an unknown group had been destroying boats in the Kalpitiya fisheries harbour after setting fire to them. Considering these developments, the Kalpitiya police obtained an injunction order from the Puttalam magistrate against the fishermen's protest since it affected the activities of the public. The court order was read to the protesters by the DIG Puttalam, Champika Sirivardhana. Subsequently, several representatives of the fishermen were given the opportunity to hold discussions with the subject minister Mahinda Amarweera at Negombo area. The minister says it is a stance of the government that small-scale fishermen should be protected and the fishing resource should remain in the future as well. However, the minister emphasized that nothing can be achieved by obstructing the roads. Solutions will be provided for justifiable demands of the fishermen through negotiations. The acts and the ordinances will be amended if there are loopholes in prevailing laws. Furthermore, the Navy has been instructed to arrest persons who violate the laws. What the protesters accuse is that the process is not carried out properly. The minister said although today's discussion was not entirely successful, it helped the two parties to reach a consensus.
Minister of Health Dr. Rajita Senaratne says the Gazette notification with regard to the price reduction of 48 drugs under the National Drug Regulatory Authority Act No. 5 of 2015 will come into effect from midnight today. The minister signed the Gazette at the Health Ministry today. Therefore, the revised prices will be effective from midnight today. It is the objective of the government to provide essential drugs to the public at lower rates based on Professor Seneka Bibile policy on drugs. The first phase includes drugs given to common diseases such as diabetes, high blood pressure, cholesterol, gastritis, osteoporosis, arthritis and epilepsy. All the brands of a certain drug will be reduced according to the new price formula. The 48 drugs, which the prices were slashed, have been chosen after considering several matters, including drugs that are purchased by most patients, the highest consumption, and recommended by highest number of doctors. A long-term solution is to be provided to reduce the prices of imported drugs through negotiations. Secretary to the Ministry of Health, Anura Jayavikrama, Chairman of the National Drug Regulatory Authority, Professor Asita De Silva, CEO of the authority, Dr. Kamal Jayasinghe, Deputy Director General Jasundara Bandara and Director of Medical Supplies Unit Dr. Lal Panapitia were also present at the occasion.
Indian Foreign Secretary S. Jaishankar will lead a business delegation to Sri Lanka to promote Indian business and investments in the country. Well, this visit, which is scheduled to begin tomorrow, is taking place in accordance with the Indian government's policy of using diplomacy to promote India's trade and investment abroad. It aims to compete with China, which has a large economic footprint in Sri Lanka. However, the Indian Foreign Secretary will not be discussing the proposed economic and technical cooperation agreement with Sri Lanka. Instead, S. Jaishankar and his team will interact with top Sri Lankan officials and businessmen over 3 days on possibilities of collaboration and cooperation in a wide range of fields.
Minister of Parliamentary Reforms and Mass Media Gayantha Karunatilaka called on Mahanayakas of Malwatha and Askeri chapters today. The minister enlightened the Mahanayakas on the Act on Right to Information, which was passed in the Parliament recently. After paying homage to Sri Dalada Maligawa, the minister called on Mahanayaka of the Askeri chapter, Most Venerable Warakagoda Sri Jnanaratana Thera. Subsequently, the minister enlightened Mahanayaka of Malwatha chapter, Most Venerable Tibbotuave Sri Sumangala Thera on the Right to Information Act. Later, Minister Gayantha Karunatilaka educated the journalists and the public servants of the Kandy district on the Right to Information Act. The minister said the United National Party attempted to move the Right to Information Act in the Parliament under the previous regime while being at the opposition. In India, the act was passed after the public staged protests on the road. However, the approval of the Parliament was gained in this regard in Sri Lanka due to the commitment of the present government. The minister stated his party was well aware of how the media freedom had prevailed in the country when they gained power. Certain journalists were murdered while others had to flee the country. Journalists who remained had to follow the orders given from a certain place. However, that situation has been completely changed and none of the journalists have been forced to do anything. Criticisms can be seen in the media about the President, the Prime Minister and the government. However, no journalist is kidnapped for publishing such articles. But it is important to safeguard media ethics. Speaking further, the minister disclosed attention has been focused on introducing laws with regard to the minimum basic salary of journalists. Governor of Central Province Niluka Ekanayaka, Secretary to the Ministry of Parliamentary Reforms and Mass Media Nimal Bopage and Director General of Government Information Dr. Ranga Kalansurya were also present on the occasion.
Well, moving away from home, we move to the U.S. because the battle for the White House is getting more and more tense. Well, with their third and final debate behind them, Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump were in New York yesterday poking fun at themselves and also at each other at a white tie dinner benefiting Catholic charities. Well, here's our segment on battle for the White House. The annual Alfred E. Smith Memorial Foundation dinner in New York is a white-tie gala that every 4 years features the presidential candidates. At the annual dinner honoring former governor of New York, Al Smith, politicians from across the spectrum are encouraged to set aside their differences and playfully roast one another.
I do recognize that I come into this event with a little bit of an advantage. I know that so many of you in the Archdiocese already have a place in your heart for a guy who started out as a carpenter working for his father. I was a carpenter working for my father. And Hillary was very gracious. She said if somehow she gets elected, she wants me to be, without question, either her ambassador to Iraq or to Afghanistan. It's my choice. But I really have to say, the media is even more biased this year than ever before. Ever. You want the proof? Michelle Obama gives a speech, and everyone loves it. It's fantastic. They think she's absolutely great. My wife, Melania, gives the exact same speech. And people get on her case. And I don't get it. I don't know why. And it wasn't her fault. Stand up, Melania. Come on. She took a lot of abuse. Thank you very much. God bless you. And God bless America. Thank you. Thank you.
Democratic presidential nominee Clinton began her remarks by saying the event was so meaningful she decided to take a break from what she called rigorous nap schedule to attend.
This is such a special event that I took a break from my rigorous nap schedule to be here. It's amazing I'm up here after Donald. I didn't think he'd be okay with a peaceful transition of power. But I understand I am not known for my sense of humor. That's why it did take a village to write these jokes. People say, and I hear them, I know, they say, I'm boring compared to Donald. But I'm not boring at all. In fact, I'm the life of every party I attend, and I've been to 3. Every year, this dinner brings together a collection of sensible, committed, mainstream Republicans, or as we now like to call them, Hillary supporters. Now, as I've said, we've now had our third and thankfully final debate. Sharing a stage with Donald Trump is like, well, nothing really comes to mind. There is nothing like sharing a stage with Donald Trump. Donald wanted me drug tested before last night's debate. And look, I got to tell you, I am so flattered that Donald thought I used some sort of performance enhancer. Now, actually, I did. It's called preparation.
From the US, it's time now for us to have a look at some stories making headlines in Asia on our segment, Asia in a Minute.
The US has said it will seek clarity on Philippine president's announcement of a separation from the US. Hundreds of flights, ferries and buses are delayed or cancelled as Typhoon Haima sweeps past Hong Kong. First giant panda festival was held in southwest China's Sichuan province today. Visitors came to Wenchuan County to see the 33 giant pandas at the festival. Wenchuan has a total of 165 giant pandas. Indian wildlife officials say they have killed a man-eating tigress after an extensive operation carried out over 6 weeks. As fall deepens, the landscape is also turning to autumn colors. Silvergrass is in the full bloom on the South Korea's southernmost Jeju Island, creating a spectacular scene.
We'll be back with more local stories after a break.
Welcome back after the break, and we continue with more stories. Well, the latest round of the coveted Commonwealth Education Good Practice Awards is to open the organizations that are delivering innovative educational projects around the Commonwealth. Well, civil society groups, ministries of education and other private as well as public organizations can be nominated or nominate themselves for the accolade. Organizations vying for the award must demonstrate excellence in one of the 5 key areas of education delivery. These include supporting quality education in difficult environments, initiatives that link education to employment, creating learning opportunities that promote gender equality and climate action, and pathways to peace.
Minister Sajid Premadasa says he intends to create 500,000 jobs for the youth in Hambantota district. They will be given a transparent manner. The minister was speaking at a ceremony held at Hambantota today. The foundation stone for the proposed 3-storied building at Meghajandra School in Hambantota was laid under the auspices of Minister Sajid Premadasa. It is being carried out under the program Langama Pasala Hondama Pasala. Large number of persons were present on the occasion.
Well, the Colombo District Court has lifted the enjoining order against the screening of the movie titled Silence in Court, directed by Prasanna Vithanage. Therefore, the film will be allowed to be screened from today. The Silence in Court is based on a story of a woman who requests for justice after being sexually harassed by a magistrate. The film was due to be screened from the 4th of this month. However, an enjoining order was imposed on the film by the court order after considering a petition submitted by Lenin Ratnayaka, who was a former district judge. He pointed out that the screening of the film would tarnish his fame. While lifting the enjoining order, Colombo District Judge M.A. Gunawardena informed to file any objection regarding it on the 19th of January.
The All Shares Price Index closed at 6,447.53 points, increased by 5.17 points, and the S&P SL20 Index closed at 3,594.59 points, also increased by 1.42 points at the end of trading in the Colombo Stock Exchange today. Turnover was 1,101 million rupees. Here's a summary of market details of the Colombo Stock Exchange today. That's it on local news. We'll be back with news overseas.
Welcome back. Moving on to the international stories. Well, IS militants attack Iraqi city of Kirkuk as Mosul offensive continues. Islamic State militants have raided the government buildings in and around the Iraqi city of Kirkuk. Well, Iraqi media reported that suicide bombers had attacked police stations and a power station, but security forces had repelled the assaults. A news agency affiliated to ISIS claimed its fighters had broken into Kirkuk's town hall and seized the central hotel. The attacks came in as Iraqi pro-government forces continue an offensive to retake IS-held Mosul to the north. IS militants were reported to have set fire to a chemical plant as well south of Mosul, and they had retreated on Thursday.
And on sports news, Sri Lankan cricketers signed the much talk about annual cricket contracts at the Sri Lanka Cricket headquarters today. Several senior players had refused to sign the contract, opposing two conditions of the agreement. However, all the players signed the contract this afternoon. Skipper Angelo Matthews told media that there are no issues regarding the annual agreement. Captain of the Sri Lankan cricket team, Angelo Matthews, said the players received the final document last evening. They decided to sign the contract since there were no issues. He pointed out certain media institutions had slung mud on players, stating that they demanded high amount of money. Matthews disclosed that a press conference will be held to reveal the true facts behind the issue. He emphasized all the players are ready to play for the country at any instance. Meanwhile, the Sri Lankan cricket squad for the Zimbabwe tour has been announced. Dinesh Chandimal has been omitted due to his injury. Angelo Matthews is the skipper of the Sri Lankan Test squad. Kusal Janit Pereira, Kusal Mendes, Dimut Karunaratne, Dhananjay De Silva, Niroshan Dikwale, Rangana Hera, Tiruwan Pereira, Suranga Lakmal and Lakshan Sandakan are the other players. Several Lanka players, namely Kasun Madhusankar, Lahiru Kumara, Lahiru Gamage and Nasela Gunaratne have been named in the squad too.
Well, Sri Lanka A was able to win the final unofficial test against the touring West Indies A team by 138 runs today. The match was played at the Rangiri Dambulu International Cricket Stadium. Sri Lankan A team, who batted first, scored 318 all out for their first innings. In reply, the West Indies were only able to score 243 runs all out. Sri Lanka set a target of 333 runs for a victory after declaring the second innings when the score was at 257 for the loss of 6. However, the West Indies were able to score only 194 runs all out in their second innings. Therefore, Sri Lanka A won the three-match series 2-1. Meanwhile, Sri Lanka A squad for the one-day tournament against the West Indies A team has been announced. Milind Sirivardhan is the skipper of the squad. Many new faces were among the players named. 3 matches are to be played between the two teams.
And before we wind up, a quick look at the weather. The Met Department says that showers or thunder showers will occur at times in the northern, western, central and Sabaragamuwa provinces and in the Galle and Matara districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur elsewhere, particularly after 2 p.m. Fairly heavy falls are also likely at some places. Misty conditions can be expected in some places in western, Sabaragamuwa, central and southern provinces during the morning.
Well, looks like tomorrow is going to be cooler than usual. Do enjoy the rest of the programs. Take care and good night.
Have a pleasant night.